Okay, so are you ready to jump into this whole home buying thing? We're talking buying your first property.
It's a big deal, right?
Huge. I mean, it's exciting, but also kind of overwhelming.
For sure.
Where do you even start? Luckily, we found this video.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's called 30 Things You Need to Know Before Buying Your First Property. And let me tell you, it's packed with good stuff.
I bet.
From like the super practical financial stuff
Yeah.
to those little details you might not think about.
Which are so important.
Absolutely. And, they don't waste any time. They jump right into the financial must-knows.
The money stuff.
Exactly. They really emphasize that before you even start browsing listings, you got to know your budget.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So it's not just about, like, how much you have saved for down payment.
Right.
What else goes into that?
So much. Think about those closing costs, all those fees, all that paperwork. It adds up.
Oh, right, of course.
And then don't forget about the move itself. Moving isn't free.
It's like planning a vacation. You budget for the flights and the hotel, but then there are always extra costs once you get there.
Totally. And speaking of budgets, we've got to talk mortgages.
Ooh, yeah, that's a big one.
Fixed rate, adjustable rate, it can be a lot to wrap your head around.
Yeah, it feels like its own language sometimes.
It is, but it's important to understand because it affects how much you pay for your home over time. Think of it like choosing a phone plan.
Okay, I like that. So like a fixed rate mortgage is like a fixed phone plan.
Exactly. You know exactly what you're paying every month.
Makes sense. An adjustable rate is more like a plan with variable data.
Yeah, the rates can fluctuate.
So how do you know which one is right for you?
Honestly, talking to a good lender is key. They'll explain all the options and help you figure out what fits your situation.
It's like having an expert guide you through a maze.
Exactly. Okay, so you've got your budget figured out. You're starting to get excited about looking at houses.
Right.
But before you dive into those listings, the video really stresses getting pre-approved for a mortgage.
Oh yeah, I've heard that's important, but why?
It shows sellers you're serious, like you're a real contender. Think of it like applying for a job. You wouldn't walk into an interview without a resume, would you?
That's a good point. So is a pre-approval basically like a financial resume for buying a house?
Exactly. It tells sellers you've got your finances in order and you're good to go.
Okay, so how do you actually go about getting pre-approved? And does your credit score play a role in all of this?
So it starts with connecting with a lender.
Okay.
You share some financial info, they check your creditworthiness, and boom. Pre-approval or not, but hopefully you get it.
Fingers crossed. And I'm guessing this is where our credit score comes in.
Big time. That little number can make a huge difference in the interest rate you get.
Seriously.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
Even a small difference in interest rates can cost you thousands over the life of the loan.
Wow, okay, so a good credit score is important.
It's key. If you can bump yours up a bit before you seriously start looking at homes, it's worth it.
It's like leveling up your financial power. Okay, so we've covered the down payment, closing costs, mortgages, credit scores. Anything else financially we should be thinking about?
2 words. Property taxes.
Oh, right.
And homeowners insurance. These are those recurring costs that can really sneak up on you.
Especially if you're a first-time buyer and not used to factoring those in.
Exactly. So do your research early.
Got it. So how do you even figure out what the property taxes and homeowners insurance will be before you buy a place?
It can vary so much, but your lender can usually give you estimates based on similar homes in the area.
Good to know. Now, the video also talked about home inspections, which always makes me think of those stories about people finding, like, hidden treasure in their new houses.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Right. But in all seriousness, why is a home inspection so crucial?
Okay, so let's say you skip the inspection, then you move in, and bam, you find a problem, a big expensive problem. Right, but if you'd gotten the inspection, the inspector might have caught it, and you could have potentially renegotiated with the seller or walked away.
So it's all about peace of mind.
Exactly. It's worth it, even if it uncovers some minor repairs, because those minor repairs could have become huge headaches later.
Totally makes sense. So we've covered finances, we've talked about inspections. Now let's talk location.
Yes. Location, location, location.
It's such a cliche, but so true.
Right. It's not just about the house itself. It's about the neighborhood, the community. Think about it like choosing a vacation spot. Are you a bustling city person or more of a laid-back beach town type?
I love that analogy. And the video talked about school districts, which I'll admit I hadn't thought about too much.
Yeah, a lot of people don't, especially if they aren't planning on having kids.
Exactly. So why is it important then?
Well, even if you don't have kids, a good school district usually means higher property values.
Oh, that's interesting. So it affects how much your home could be worth down the line.
Exactly. And even if you don't sell, you benefit from living in a desirable area.
Makes sense. What else about the location should we be thinking about?
Commute. How far are you willing to travel every day? A long commute can really impact your quality of life.
It's like adding extra time to your workday.
Right? And all that time spent commuting is time you're not doing something you enjoy.
So factor in traffic, public transportation options, all of that. Now here's something I've always wondered. How do you know if a neighborhood is on the upswing?
It's like trying to predict the next trendy neighborhood, right?
Yes. Are there signs to look for?
The video mentioned looking at planned developments in the area.
Oh, like new businesses or parks?
Yeah, those can be good indicators of a thriving community.
So it's like finding a band before they get big.
Haha, exactly. But also, watch out for anything that could negatively impact the area.
Like a big highway expansion or something.
Exactly. Do your research. Okay, so we've covered finances, location. Now let's get to the fun part, the house itself.
I know. I'm already picturing myself, like, sipping coffee in a brand new kitchen. But, okay, before I get ahead of myself, the video reminds us to look beyond those pretty pictures.
Right, because not everything is as it seems.
So true. They really emphasize the home inspection again here.
Yeah, for good reason.
Yeah.
Even if a house looks perfect online or even in person, there could be hidden problems.
Okay, so what kind of problems are we talking about?
Well, for example, structural issues, like cracks in the foundation.
Ooh, yeah, that's not good.
Nope. Or uneven floors, doors that don't close right. Those can be signs of big problems that are going to be expensive to fix.
Definitely don't want to deal with that. What about the stuff you can't see, like plumbing or electrical?
Oh, those are huge. A good home inspector will check all of that, make sure it's up to code and working properly.
It's like giving the house a checkup.
Exactly. Okay,
Okay.
so you've got the inspection, everything looks good. Now you're thinking about space, how many bedrooms you need, all that.
Right, so how do you know if a house will actually work for you just from looking at the listing online?
Honestly, you don't. The video even mentions that sometimes those square footage numbers can be a little off.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it might be an honest mistake, like outdated measurements. But either way, it's always a good idea to see it for yourself.
So don't just rely on the numbers.
Right. Walk through the space, measure if you have to, make sure it actually feels right.
It's like trying on clothes. The picture online might look amazing,
Yeah.
but then you try it on and it's all wrong.
Exactly. And speaking of things that can be a little tricky, have you thought about zoning laws?
Zoning laws. Not really.
Okay, so basically, zoning laws tell you what you can and can't do with the property.
Oh, I see.
Like if you wanted to run a business from home or build an addition, zoning laws will say whether that's allowed.
Right. That makes sense. So you got to check that out early on.
Definitely. Better to know before you fall in love with the place. Okay, so you found a house you loved, it's passed inspection, it's in the right location, you're ready to make an offer.
This is the exciting part.
Right. But this is also where it gets a little more complex, which is why the video really emphasizes the importance of having a good real estate agent.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that's key. But why? What do they actually do that's so important?
So much. They know the market inside and out, they can help you negotiate a good price, and they can help you navigate all the paperwork and legal stuff.
So they're like your home buying Sherpa, guiding you through the whole process.
Exactly. They can make the whole thing way less stressful.
Okay, so let's talk negotiation. Is the asking price ever really the price?
Sometimes, but often it's a starting point.
I figured as much.
And that's where a good agent is invaluable. They can help you figure out a strategy, come up with a good offer, all of that.
So it's kind of like a game, but with really high stakes.
Right. And speaking of strategy, the video talks about contingencies, which are basically like safety nets built into your offer.
Okay, so like if something happens, you're not stuck.
Exactly. For example, a financing contingency means you can back out if you can't get approved for a mortgage for some reason.
Oh, that makes sense.
Or an inspection contingency, so you're not obligated to buy if the inspection reveals a big problem.
Those are good to know about. So you've made your offer, all the contingencies are met. Now what?
Now it's closing time.
The final countdown.
Pretty much. You'll sign a ton of paperwork, finalize the mortgage, all the legal stuff, and then you get the keys.
That's the moment we've been waiting for. So any last words of wisdom from the video before we wrap things up?
Yeah, they actually end by encouraging everyone to think long-term, even though it's easy to get caught up in the excitement of finding a house right now.
That's interesting. So what does that actually look like when you're house hunting?
Well, for one thing, think about resale value. Even if you plan to stay in the house forever, life happens. So consider factors that might affect the home's value down the line.
Okay, makes sense. It's an investment after all.
Right. And think about potential home improvement costs. Those can add up quickly.
True. Especially if you have champagne taste on a beer budget.
Haha, exactly. So prioritize what needs to be done versus what you'd like to do. And maybe most importantly, be honest with yourself about your emotional readiness.
Oh, that's huge.
Right. Buying a home is exciting, but it's also stressful. So make sure you have a good support system in place, whether it's friends, family, a therapist, whoever.
That's a decision.
Yeah.
Okay, so much good advice. It feels like we've just scratched the surface of buying a first home, but in the best way possible.
I know, right?
This video was a great starting point, and hopefully it's given our listeners a lot to think about as they start their home buying journey. So until next time, happy house hunting, everyone.